it's James Kalm, the guy on the bike, and we are down here at the new Whitney, and we're going to try to run in here for the last half an hour of the press preview and get a picture of Frank Stella. Boy, I didn't want to wait for the elevator, so I went up to the 5th floor. Thank you. Okay. Well, I just pedaled in from Brooklyn, and when I left Brooklyn it was spritzing a little bit, but by the time I got to Manhattan it was really raining. And as I understand it, this exhibition takes up the whole 5th floor. Got a couple of examples of Frank's major pieces. This is titled Pratfall 1974, and gosh, I'd say that's probably at least maybe a 10-foot square. Wow, this is a big painting, and yeah, it's got a lot of interesting, tricky things. It's collage on there. Looks like this might be even laser cut stuff. Das Erdbeben in Chile. Well, you know, there is a lot of computer-assisted drafting on this, digital prints, other types of cutting, stenciling, flocking. I think the thing that's kind of interesting about this is pretty flat. It doesn't have major sections of these planes sticking out into actual space. Okay, well, I'm late and they're going to shut this down in about a half an hour, but we're just going to kind of chronologically run through the rooms and take a look. These are some of Frank's early pieces, and I like the question they've got on the wall. There are two problems in painting. One is to find out what painting is, the other is to find out how to make a painting. And, well, I think Frank Stella is, or could be called, the golden boy of American abstraction. This is a guy who was discovered when he was 23 years old. It's titled Delta 1958. And Dorothy Miller found him and put him into a very important show titled 16 Americans at the Museum of Modern Art, and that was the same show that Jasper Johns and Robert Rauschenberg were in. But I think Frank was only 23 at the time. Anyway, his stripe paintings were kind of the pieces that got him the main attention. And at the time, a piece like this was considered a sacrilege. This is right at, I guess, probably the end of the 10th Street School and the Abstract Expressionists. But I think I've read where Frank said that he was actually influenced by the stripes of Jasper Johns and his flags. And so this is kind of his response to that, sort of boil them down and reduce them to their essence. I know a lot of people that wish that Frank was still doing nothing but the black stripe pieces. Oh, hey, there's Ben Davis, writes for ArtNet. Well, I think this is the next phase of Frank's work. And so now we started to kind of get into the diagonals. Oh, this is great. We've got some of his sketches. Well, here are some of his early studies. This must be from the late 50s. Well, he's a good draftsman, and look at that lettering. Oh, this is great. This is like a little codex. Well, I think shortly after his debut at 16 Americans, Frank was picked up by Leo Castelli, and so he was in the same gallery with Robert Rauschenberg, Jasper Johns. Oh, these are nice. I believe this is aluminum paint. And the little slots are interesting. You know, it is despite his attempts at kind of being precise and mechanical, there's a real nice sense of the hand and the touch. This is also the phase when he, I guess, was heralded as one of the founders of minimalism. You know, these shaped and notched pieces, I think, were very influential for people like Don Judd when he was writing his manifesto of minimalism, talking about how there was a lot of work nowadays that was somewhere between painting and sculpture. And he talked about the fact that because these pieces were so thick and because the stretchers were notched, that this kind of provided a certain amount of sculptural qualities. Oh, actually I saw this painting at the Modern. Maybe it was the Metropolitan when Frank had a show on the roof at the Met. And this is one of the paintings we talked about, and I commented that the fluorescent paint had held up extremely well. And, like a painter, he kind of rubs it with his thumb and goes, yeah, that was good stuff. It's titled Conway, 1966. And, I've actually talked to Frank a couple times, and I think one of the reasons that I admire him is that, he's not like some of these art stars that sort of exist as some eminent grise, somebody out in the boondocks that only appears here and there. He's really engaged. I think towards the end of the 60s, Frank started doing work like this, the protractors. And, he really started punching up his colors. A lot of this is almost like psychedelic colors. And some of these are very ambitious. I don't know what the size of this piece is, but I would say that it's at least maybe 20 feet long. It's titled Haran, 1967. It's got a very nice kind of a dry, soaked-in paint surface, but there is a quality, wonderful color quality that he gets with that dry surface. It's titled Montanville, 1966, and Effingham. So here again, he's kind of distilling his geometric forms rather than presenting that or that in a rectangle. He's just kind of cut away the backgrounds and made the form, the shape of the canvas. And here again, you know, it's not just bold, bright primary colors and fluorescence, but he's got some nice tertiaries here, that kind of yellow ochre and olive green. Okay, I think these pieces are called the Tropical Bird series, and this is the stuff that I saw when I first came to New York. So we're talking late 70s, early 80s, and well, it was kind of interesting to watch the trajectory of Frank's aesthetic, because he started out as what I said, kind of a proto-minimalist, the black and white stripe paintings, and then after about 10 years, suddenly 10 or 12 years, he's doing this stuff which kind of related to neo-expressionism, or as some people have called it, maximalism. And I think one of the other things that's always been interesting for me about Frank is that he loves new materials, new techniques, new machines to do things. As we progress through the show, we'll probably get up to some of the more recent pieces where I think that he goes to maybe high-tech yacht builders and uses composites and all kinds of hardware. This piece is titled... Not too bad.
Not too bad, okay. Not too bad.
This is titled The Whiteness of the Whale. Okay, so he did a whole series on Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Back in the mid-'80s, which was about the time that he was involved with Carl Andre, and Carl Andre was a longtime friend of his, and Carl was arrested for the murder of Anna Mendieta, and Frank bailed him out. Oh. Well, the other thing is that Frank has never been restrained. He's never been modest about his goals and his ambition. It's a huge piece. It's titled Michael's Counterguard. You know, a lot of this actually, and he's kind of cagey about the whole idea, but a lot of this is actually sculpture. And I remember seeing a show of his, this has got to be 4 or 5 years ago, and he called it high reliefs. Maybe we'll see some of them later on, but they were basically sculpture that maybe touched the wall. It's titled Chaudhuro, and yeah, again, I like these kind of more subtle colors. That red kind of makes me think of Campbell's tomato soup with a little milk in there. So this phase, when he really went maximal, you know, a lot of people were criticizing him because he started to use the expressionistic brush strokes and the textures and even the glitter. So Frank doesn't just like move slowly in tiny little steps. He kind of jumps in whole hog on these things. This is titled Inaccessible Island, 1976. And God, he's got flocking enamel. That could be oil stick. And This is all on honeycomb aluminum panels. And I don't know where he has these fabricated, but they do a great job. I caught up with Frank when he was having a show of sculptures on the roof at the Met, and I kind of impertinently went over and buttonholed him for a second and asked him his ideas or his thoughts about postmodernism. And well, Frank, in a lot of ways, is a very, very thoughtful guy. He sort of said, postmodernism doesn't give me anything. And it's kind of like his statement of what you see is what you see. What I took from that was that modernism had goals. Modernism knew what it was after, knew what it needed to change, knew what it needed to attack. And from Frank's viewpoint, postmodernism just maybe asked a question or tried to create doubts about the system. Oh, this is sweet. I remember seeing these exhibited at Leo Castelli maybe in the late 70s, early 80s. These are the maquettes for the tropical birds. And as I understand it, he had these fabricated in India. So he'd do the designs, and people out in some little village or factory would make these out of Coca-Cola cans, different kinds of metal signs and things. Actually, I like those. This is an interesting presentation. They've actually got this on a recess in the wall, and geez, it's on a stretcher that must be about 9 inches thick. This is titled Kamionka Stramiloa. I think this could be the epitome of his tropical bird series, his maximalism series. So, yeah, this piece has probably got to stick out about 18, 20 inches. And you could just go down the list of all the materials he's using. And then, God, he's also, I don't know what, using a grinder or a router or something to even cut through the paint surfaces back into the metal. Okay, wow. I think anybody, oh gee, there's James Pinero. Anybody that could put this painting in their living room would be doing all right. See, I stayed at a hotel in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. It's the Vedora, and they had one of these behind the registration desk. This is a nice piece. I like the yellow Z. Well, we're just going to keep moving because this is going to wrap up in about 15 minutes. Now, this may be a huge print. I think it is. Woodcut. Maybe aqua tint. And, yeah, like I said, Frank is not one that's going to pull back because his ideas are too modest. This is titled The Fountain: Woodcut, Etching, Aqua Tint, Relief, Dry Point Collage, and Airbrush. And this is an artist proof, and I don't know, but I'd say that piece is at least 20 feet long. Okay, that's nice. So he's got kind of like a homoseda board and felt. And I think that he was just using the natural color, kind of a particle board. You know, Frank is also kind of a polemicist, and I know he wrote at least one book that got a lot of press, I guess, in the end of the 80s, early 90s, about the whole idea of modernism and what modernism meant. This is kind of nice. I like the way that he varies the angles of his planes. Oh, and so this is not honeycomb aluminum, but it's corrugated cardboard. Yeah, this is sexy. There's lots of glitter. Oh, this is beautiful. This is all wood. It's titled Beckhofen. You know, Frank has gotten a lot of questions about his titles, and I know that his initial series of black and white stripes, a lot of it was in German, and he was actually using slogans that had been used by the Nazis. And I think some of these other pieces are named after various places in Poland. You know, there are a lot of artists that could have made an entire career out of an idea like this. And, well, it says a lot about Frank's originality and his kind of constant drive and curiosity and experimentation, that he just keeps going and going and coming up with new solutions. Well, I just spoke with James Pinero, and he was saying that the layout of the show is not really chronological, and this is a good example. I guess that Frank kind of came in and decided that he didn't want to have everything just laid out chronologically, that he would kind of mix things around. And well, this gets to what I was talking about. This is what a lot of the new work looks like. This is titled Regeni, 2009, fiberglass and stainless steel tubing. And so he's had these tubes bent, very beautiful arcs, and he's even got the little kind of a squiggle. And then he's had this orange fiberglass molded so that it almost looks like drapery blowing in the wind. And this section, he hasn't really taken the time to kind of change the material surface, so you get the weave and the color of the resin and the fiber. This is another one of the recent pieces. Well, like I said, Frank is kind of cagey, and a lot of these works he considers paintings, and I think in that way he just wants to kind of tweak people with the idea of what a painting is versus what a sculpture is. Okay, these are some of the most recent pieces. I love this part of the Whitney. This is great. I've got the wonderful view over the Hudson. Now, I would be hard-pressed to call this a painting, but now this is definitely a sculpture. And, well, I think that Frank probably hangs around at the sculpture fabrication shops and probably spends a lot of time scavenging around in their recycle bins. You know, this is almost exactly the opposite of where he started out, where everything was very controlled, very linear, clean, and this is all over the place. Rugged, ragged, crumbly, bumpy. Also, this is interesting, the way they've got this attached on the wall. It's almost like it's not really bolted to the wall, it's just hanging in there with hooks.
You were saying we could see it in this one?
Oh, this is an interesting piece. So I guess this is some kind of cast composite. And, oh, he's out of cut plexiglass. I think Frank does a great job of kind of mixing maybe high Baroque with space age kitsch. Well, this is where Frank gets to play. I think that he probably spends a lot of time thinking about these things, making these.
Something like this that he's working on, it gets to where he is, where he wants it. Yes.
Because I have to go make a call and I'll come back and find it. It's just Steve's piece.
We're getting close.
This piece right here is an example of the kind of work that was shown at a show that he called High Reliefs, and well, okay, so he's got three legs that touch the wall, but you could pretty much drive a truck behind this thing, and you can go back. I think I've covered at least 3 of his shows, and well, I was saying that one of the things about this particular series is that Frank might have been hanging out with some of the car culture people, because this has got frosted metal flake and highly lacquered surfaces. Look like something you'd see on a custom-built 1932 Roadster. Well, I guess you have to go too far before you know how far too far is. This one was a little, maybe a little crumbly, a little too much.
When was this done?
1998.
You know, I think also Frank probably spends a lot of time looking at blueprints of aircraft, or like I was saying, yachts. And well, he really is a classic modernist, and he's someone that believes that form follows function. And if he can find something like a set of strut designs, or some kind of a little crack there, some kind of architectural design element that looks good, he's going to use it. All right, smile, ladies. Well, it looks like they're letting in the general crowds now. So this is James Kalm reporting on Frank Stella, a retrospective here at the Whitney. And as always, let me hear you say it, folks. Thank you, Kate. Thank you.